All right, we're glad to have you back. Talking power now. Limitations in the power sector constrains growth and in some cases result in the shutdown of power plants. In 2018, about 8 out of the 28 power plants in Nigeria were shut down due to gas constraints.
Yeah, and now the entire country could be thrown into total darkness if the generating companies follow through on their threat to shut down power plants if the federal government fails to intervene in the challenges troubling them. They listed some of them to be funding problems, debt, gas constraints, ongoing maintenance by some gas suppliers, and low load demand by distribution companies.
Yes, indeed. Well, irregular power supply is the bane of Nigerians and businesses operating in the country. Many areas go for hours without electricity, while some have been in darkness for years. But a threat from the generation companies, also known as GENCOS, could see the entire country plunge into darkness, like we already told you. And TVC Breakfast sought the views of Nigerians on this matter. Let's hear them.
Electricity generation companies in Nigeria called GENCOS have threatened to shut power plants if the federal government refuses to intervene in the challenges facing them. Now, these challenges include gas constraints and power rejection by electricity distribution companies. I'm Abosede Omowili, and I'm here on the streets to ask Nigerians what they think about this development.
This means that the whole country will be in darkness. We are using this medium to appeal to the federal government. Let them listen to them and all those people in charge of the power, so that let them work hand in hand. Those that is generating it and those are supposed to distribute the light, let them work in hand, so that even the little one we have been having, we have been enjoying, so that we will not lose totally.
I think it is better federal government comes to the distributors and asks them what they need and why these things are not being used, why the equipment they needed to distribute these powers, why is it not in place? So if they ask that question, if they need support, let the federal government support them.
The implication will be negative in terms of economy. You understand? But my own concern is that those power companies, they should try to provide prepaid meters to consumers. Because whether they bring light or they don't bring light, at the end of the day, will bring a estimated bill from their offices. You understand? And give consumers. Consumers will pay. They are not losing.
They don't have lights. Even if they short the light, maybe 10, they will bring it at 7. They will have it around 11 in the afternoon. Till tomorrow morning, we not have the light. So me and my area, I'm standing for my area, we prefer to shut the light down. We'll be burning our generator. It's okay.
I'm indifferent, and as a Nigerian, as a Lagosian, and of course, I'm more concerned about the distribution company rather than those actually generating, because I believe the generation company has been managed well by the federal government. Just that the issue of gas supply and what have you. So I think it's an issue of management.
The best we can say is that if they want to shut down, the government should please take off the license to those who can do it more better.
Shutting down everything is going to have an adverse effect on we Nigerians. So, and we can't say the blame is on us, because we weren't there when they were doing sealing up the deal. You understand what I'm trying to say? So I think the government should intervene in the affair before these people will take it up to the level of shutting down as in the power grid. It's not going to be nice at all.
It's better for federal government to shut down everything. Let us know that Nigeria is in darkness. It's okay for us. Every day we are buying fuel, 1,000 every day. We cannot sleep. For what? Let us shut down the power and let us know Nigeria is in darkness.
Nigerians there on what they think about the threat by electricity generation companies to shut power plants unless the federal government intervenes. Abosede Omowili, TVC News, Lagos.
Wow. Shut down. Let us know we're in darkness. Shut down Nigeria. So.
It's always good to hear that perspective from the streets, and it just brings it home.
They bear their mind
really.
Just the way they feel it, and the way it pinches them, they voice it out, and that's it.
Exactly. All right, we have energy expert and Chief Executive Officer Energy to talk to us this morning, Femi Adeyemo. Good morning. Good to have you on the show.
Good morning.
Morning,
good morning,
Femi.
Good morning, Nigeria.
Yes, good to see you again. Now, the GENCOS, they've been saying, look, if government does not intervene when it comes to the issue of gas constraints, ongoing maintenance of power plants, rejection of power by the discos and all of that, we're going to shut down and the country will be in darkness. Is there more to this? You know, because it's not the first time that the GENCOS are threatening. I mean, over and over again, this is what we hear. And the major challenge has always been gas.
Yeah, I mean, that's correct. And I like the way, I mean, one of the, the people that were interviewed, put it. If we look at it from the GENCO side, I think it's, it's been better managed than the distribution companies. But when we look at it, I mean, the whole value chain, I mean, it's the problem of, of the value chain, right? Gas constraints, you know, because that's critical. Why? I mean, we need to look at why are the GENCOs threatening shutdown. And it's threefold: the gas constraint, the liquidity issue, and the discos rejecting power. So when you look at all these, and when we then look, I mean, a few years ago, these generation companies were privatized, right? But largely, I mean, it was debt funded, I mean, with debt capital. So there are obligations that the generation companies need to meet, right? And the banks will definitely be on their neck. So my submission to the first question will be, we can't continue to do the same thing and expect a different results. I mean, when you, we're introducing the program, the section, you mentioned the same thing happened last year. Last year, Q1, GENCO threatened to shut down. Sometimes around August last year, GENCO threatened to shut down. So we need to really go back to the drawing board and say, how can we fix this hydra-headed problem? We can't continue like this as a country. So the question now should be, what is the solution, right? How can we fix the gas constraint?
Yeah.
If the gas constraint cannot be fixed, what are the way out to ensure that Nigerians have uninterrupted?
Yeah, Femi, if you can hear me, if you talk about going back to the drawing board, which a lot of Nigerians are going to support that idea, but would that take us back to the issue of the privatization in the first place, where we started with when we had the NEPA, the National Electricity Power Authority, at that point where they talked about unbundling it, where it came to power holding company and all of that. Is that where we should even go back to in the first place when it comes to the real privatization? Who should own what and at what term and all of that?
Good question. I think we don't have to go that back, right? So again, the value chain is largely three different components or section, right? We have the GENCO, we have the distribution company, and the transmission. I think we are in a good place on the generation, on the GENCO. Why did I say that? If we look at most of the generation companies, they're, fully privatized, right? But maybe the source of capital, it's probably not the best because they were, most of them, if you look at, Geregu 132, recently even the same Geregu that was, 57% equity of that owned by, Forte, recently there was, announcement in the news that they were looking at divesting. Why that? Right, so we need to look at, number one, I said before, don't forget that GENCO is in a good place because it's fully privatized, but maybe the ownership, and some of them are already coming out that they want to divest. We need long-term, patient equity capital to be able to do this. However, before the investors, and the good news is there are foreign investors that are looking at Nigeria power sector to say when it is fully ready for private investment, the investors will come. However, gas constraint has to be fixed. If the power plant will be fully gas or fossil fuel powered.
So how do we now fix the gas problem and all other challenges? When you say that the GENCOs are actually in a good place, and you've had, the National Assembly actually saying there is a need to review the privatization of the power sector and all of that. talk to us. Yes.
Yeah, so if I may say to that, so I have not talked about on the distribution companies. Distribution companies, I think that probably might have to review the structure. Because, I mean, from where we sit as a private sector, we believe that government probably needs to take a back seat, just like they've done in the generation companies, and then let it be fully privatized too. I like what the government has done on the willing buyer, willing seller. Really. So on the GENCO, what I will expect is for the GENCO to really put on a private sector hat and go fully out to maximize that window that they have to be able to sell power to people that are ready to buy. Because if the distribution companies are rejecting power, and if there are, I mean, several manufacturing companies that have their diesel-fired generators littering the countries everywhere, why can't generation companies begin to, I mean, go into these people? And I mean, like I mentioned, I mean, the last time I was on your show that, I mean, we see even renewable energy companies already going into some of these multinational manufacturing companies. So that's where we have to get to. Where, I mean, the GENCO are already privatized. Let them be fully entrepreneurial and go and generate revenue.
What about the TCN end of it, where the GENCOs are saying the TCN...
And that's where the government has a hold.
Has a hold, exactly. Is that the weakest link in this chain?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there is no doubt about that. So that is the weakest link, right? The transmission company is the weakest link in the whole value chain. So if we're talking of going back to the drawing board to review the privatization, I mean, we need to look at the distribution and the transmission to ensure that this is purely market-driven. We are a country of 200 million people. I mean, even the available generation capacity is less than 10,000 megawatts. We need at least 150,000 megawatts to be regarded as in that.
Oh, okay. It's in the system. The network has frozen there. We're talking with Femi Adeyemo, CEO, Energy.
It's interesting. He just talked about what we actually need if we're to be a truly industrialized nation. 150,000 megawatts. Now compare that to the 7,000 which we are generating now, and it's only to a very large extent about half of that, really, that we actually get. South Africa has 45,000 megawatts.
Around 40.
Yeah.
Now, it's going to take a lot of investment to get to that level. But however, let's go on a break. Okay. Oh, I understand Femi is back now. All right, Femi, if you can hear me now, from where we stand right now, what scenarios can play out with this threat from GENCOs, and then what you are saying needs to be done? What scenarios can play out? Femi, can you hear me? If you can hear me, I'm asking what scenarios can play out. All right, we have to end it there now. CEO of Energy, Femi Adeyemo, talking to us about the power source and power generation in Nigeria. Let's go on a break, and when we come back, we'll be time for sports with Chidebe Eziani.